Hi, guys, and welcome to the first episode of Jump Space Talk. I am Father Prometheus, and today we are going to be talking about a few things. Our topics are vendors, weapons, single player experience, and mission enemy changes. These are generally requests and observations that I've made after playing the game for a little over 36 hours now, plus or minus maybe an hour of AFK time. You guys know how that is. So as you guys see, I am level 9.5 ish, with about 13 ingots. I also have, let me see if I can get up out of the seat.
Interesting.
Most, if not all, of my upgrades at Mark II, as well as quite
Good to
a
see you.
good portion of them now at Mark III. So I have done a good bit of progress here. I'm just going to move back up to this spot here. I really like this seat. It gets me to lay down sometimes. No, no. Yeah, there we go. So, anyways, um, I do have quite a bit of experience, as you guys seen in my previous videos, including the one I updated earlier this morning. Um, I I do kind of feel like I know what I'm doing, but as I've stated before, I'm primarily a single player. I have a hard time playing with other people, in terms of not really having a filter when I get mad. And I try to be a team player, but you can't really be a healer in this game. Uh, Next closest thing that you can be is an engineer, and well, I get a little crazy. Uh, Anyways, we're going to move on to the first topic today, and that is going to be vendors. So, in the reveal earlier this month, they spoke about the update and adding vendors, as well as the big maybe of having a like a storage locker or some way to store our weapons. I do really want that, but I also want them to uh, put it in a way that feels good for them. However, in player inventory is an issue, and that needs to be addressed. Certainly, vendors can definitely help us out with that. And here are my changes with this that I believe may help the devs in the long run. I know it may be a little too late to offer what I think should be implemented in the update coming soon, but I'm not gonna, hold my breath that they can push this out in time. So first off, I don't like their current state. From what I saw, they seem weak. I want to be able to sell my weapons that I get. Like, I have two Mark III LMGs sitting in my inventory right now. Let me sell that for like 800 credits. I saw in the video that we were purchasing things for what, 12, 1800 credits. So I don't see why that would be a bad thing to implement the ability to sell our extra weapons to the vendors. Let us help the Arterian resistance, or the Altiran resistance. Let us, offer our weapons, our stim packs, our ammo crates. Let us get some credits, so say we could buy a better relic, or we could stock up for an exponentially hard mission like you guys released, or the devs released, like a mission difficulty 8 or difficulty 10. As we start getting closer to the center of the galaxy, I want to feel my bank hurt, but I also want to appreciate that hurt when I've spent 15,000 credits on a really, really hard mission that got me maybe a quarter of that back, but I got a crapload of ingots. I got some really good progression done. Um, like, let me sell my stuff so I can feel when my bank is actually hurt, because it's I like the I do and don't like the cost, and I'll move on to that in just a minute. The My bad, my stutter got to me again. So what I really want is to feel my bank account hurt, because we're gonna be saving up all this money, and lore wise, canonically, or at least I feel canonically, I want to be able to offer my weapons up to the resistance, help them out in various small time ways. It's not really a big thing for one guy to bring back a couple extra weapons, but over time, a bunch of players doing this, it kind of adds to the theme, adds to the lore. It So it's not just a mechanical request; it's a lore presence request. Let me feel my player having a sort of presence. Like the NPC saying, "Oh, thanks for that. Here's some credits. This will help the resistance." Um, it would help with that player immersion. So moving on, cost versus credits gained per mission. Um, I don't want to do 5 or 6 missions to get a full inventory of items that I want to bring on to a ship, and that's what it looks like right now. Those costs of the 12 to 800 credits, um, that seems a little excessive to me. You are basically telling players that we have to do easy missions first, and we have to do quite a few of them just to get around that expense. But um, the amount of credits that we get per mission is right around, I don't know. You guys saw me get about 600-700 last mission. I honestly can't recall. I didn't pay attention, but it didn't feel like a lot. I have to do an hour in survival to get 3 to 4 thousand credits, and that's if I'm not shredding everything that I collect to prevent lag buildup. Um, so it really comes down to what should be uh, considered for player, like casual players. Like a casual player is not going to want to spend an hour in a survival mission. They're not going to have that attention span, more than likely, to get the 3 to 4 thousand credits. I only have that attention span because I've been playing Warframe for close to 11, maybe 12 years now. I'm used to being in a single spot for a really long time. And this is a roguelike game that demands action, demands constantly moving, and when you're seeing the same tile over and over and over again for an hour, it gets boring for a lot of people. And so give us a reason to, like, have that ability where I can buy one Mark III weapon, a ship or a small ship repair core, and one artifact. Okay, let's that's three items. That's the full player inventory. I just bought myself a Mark III LMG. I bought myself my favorite fire rate um, uh, based on materia, tank capacity, artifact. You know, I got that one equipped, and then I went and bought myself a small ship repair core. That should cost maybe 21 to 2400 credits. That is three missions. That is three normal missions, four easy missions, two hard missions. The math is there. The players can feel it, but these expenses, they seem good, they seem correct, but the amount of credits that we get per mission don't kind of line up. So either we need to lower the amount of everything, or we need to raise the amount that a player is on average going to expect. Now, maybe I have to do a fourth mission because I was like 2, 3 credits away from getting to my goal of that 21 to 2400 credits to buy a full inventory of items. But like, I think the absolute most a player should spend on a full kit is 3000, and that should be the most. And I got that here in my notes. The I believe that the mission requirements for the NPCs adding things to the shops are great. I think that in order to get, say, a large ship repair core, I need to do all the fires. Like, I need to put out all the fires. I think it's like 20 fires that you got to put out on your ship. Um, so let that be the case, where each of these lead up to bigger, better inventories, more consistent inventories. And I'll get that here in just a minute, especially when it comes to the artifacts. So yeah, moving on. Number two for the vendors, I believe that they should have better selections, more consistent selections. Bose over here, he seems like the best example of this, but I should only see one materia canister right here. I should not be able to bring 50 materia along to the mission. One, we already start with 25 at the bottom of the ship, unless that is being removed. But even still, I think it should be removed because we're also getting a free 30 materia from Nissi at the beginning of the mission. So having two of these here is not necessary. Just one of these is perfectly fine. This is perfectly fine. One of these is perfectly fine. Two is overkill. So this could maybe be an artifact from over there. Let it be like a pizza related one. Let this be the player artifacts, and let this be the ship artifacts. Okay. I hope that gets the message across, but uh, the inventory is fine, a little excessive, based off of what the dev stream showed and what is currently here on the table. And be considering the inventory space, the table space for this, I don't imagine more than 5 being on this table. if they ever expand it beyond this three. So if we're gonna be limited to only three, this needs to be only limited to one pool of artifacts. And because the table over here is bigger, the inventory needs to be more diverse. And like if you are going to allow duplicate items to appear here on the table, then add two more spaces and have everything be random. Like maybe a materia canister right here and a materia canister right here. That way like two players can be like on opposite sides of the table and try to pick up different things at different times. That should be a thing, at least in my opinion. Obviously, this whole video is my opinion. Please, though, try to consider. I'm trying to take the time to articulate my points without being overly stressed about my opinions because I tend to be overly opinionated and arrogant in my choice of words. Or that was a wrong wording, but anyways, let's move along. Weapons. Let's move on to weapons. Damage is low. We should not need an artifact to compensate for the amount of damage that we do to enemies. Obviously, headshots should do more than leg shots. However, enemies should have varied weak points. So, say this guy right here is the walker, the two legs with the single head. I want to be able to shoot the leg right here. I want to be able to shoot the leg and the dude just absolutely fold onto the ground. I want his head to like slam into the floor and blow up. Or if he gets downed by losing a leg, I want him to try to use his leg to turn himself as he's trying to fire at me. It would be incredibly amusing and it would add to some slight difficulty. Like, just because you took out the HP of one of the limbs, the bot is still able to do something. It turns one of the weakest enemies into something that can continue being a threat even after you think you've neutralized it. So like let it be like a 50-50 chance. You shoot the leg, the player thinks, "Oh, it's going to hit the ground, blow up." But no, it's more maybe it has one or two hits that you shoot in the other leg or body and it's down. And so say I'm now fighting the four-legged walker. All right, so this is leg one, this is leg two, this is leg three, and this is leg four. All right, I want to be able to run around this walker and maybe shoot one of its legs to immobilize it. And then as it's trying to turn, it's turning slower. And because it's turning slower, I can run around to the back of it. And let's pretend that this dummy is the back. And we shoot the back of the enemy. So bam, 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 and the guy is dead. So that's a little something that I took from Helldivers, more specifically when we're targeting the tanks and hulks. Obviously, you can't really take out the legs of the tanks or hulks, but you can take out the arms, reducing the combat effectiveness of the enemy. So that would be a great change to implement to the enemies. I know it would likely take a while, however, it would add more enemy variants, as well as change up some of the current combat gameplay that's currently in. I don't think it would be overly complicated to add a falling animation to the walkers. I imagine it's player deals X amount of damage, leg fall or leg disappears or explodes, however you want to code it, and then the bot can literally just fall over. Obviously, you want to add maybe a little animation to the falling over. Obviously, you don't want it to change its XY position. all of a sudden to the horizon field. But yeah, you definitely want to have something there as sort of like enemy variance and control with player like what we want uh, to have a little fun. Moving on, yeah, damage is low. LMG needs it's fine damage wise, but the flashes are really distracting. And sometimes the flashes are glitched, and like, see, that is excessive. The flashes, like, it's distracting when I'm trying to fight a bunch of enemies. I'm already getting a bunch of red flashes in my face. It's coming all over the place. I'm getting blue flashes coming from my shields getting hit. My screen is becoming red because I'm low on HP. There's a lot. And while you definitely want player impact to be felt, perhaps changing the flash from the end of the muzzle to the side, add like gas or energy being expelled from the side of the weapon, would add more focused feedback. I'm not a weapons expert, but the end of the barrel, where we're already aiming at the center of the screen, you have a very bright and dynamic flash that has inconsistencies and tends to bug out. I don't want to, have all these flashes constantly running at me. I don't want to leave the game because I have to take a break because I got a headache from one mission. And that's generally what I have to do because of all the flashing, the enemy fire. It tends to become hard for me to concentrate because there's just so much going on. I don't have any room for rest. It's almost impossible for me to dodge enemy fire because the enemies do predictive firing. And I know that they do predictive firing because they will fire even after they're dead. Moving on, the assault rifle, this weapon right here that I'm holding is great. However, it needs a slight accuracy nerf. Um, in short range, even long range, I can take out, like, I have sat in the back of those really long hangar rooms in those safe zones where there's possibility of like one or two of those gold chests and those flying enemies just kind of hovering around everywhere. I would just hang out at the top of my dart and fire this weapon in particular, or the javelin, over at enemies 200 meters away from me. That should not be possible, especially for a pulse rifle or assault rifle like this. Moving on, the Omni pistol needs a major freaking buff. This is a piece of shit. I dread needing to start over because I forgot to pick up my LMGs or my new weapon here. I dread it. I fucking hate it. I'm gonna be frank. I'm gonna be serious here for a minute. I fucking hate this stupid piece of shit weapon. Alright. Now that I got that out of my system, let me explain why. It does not have enough ammo in the magazine. It does not have enough punch. It should be on par with other weapons that are at least Mark II. This should be, at damage potential wise, Mark II. This should have more ammo as we play, level up, upgrade our ships, add 2, 3, 4 ammo capacity to it, however you want. But this Omni pistol is a piece of crap. It like when we start upgrading it when we can, or if we can start upgrading it. It needs more ammo, it needs more damage. We need to be able to charge the mission objectives faster. We need to be able to repair faster. We need to have cheaper repairs. All right. So that goes on with the general changes requests, basically what's gone on with the dev stream. Now, here's some single player changes, reworks that I'm requesting and that should be done to the game. So first off, Buddy needs a whole update dedicated to himself. He needs a full on rework, and I'm going to explain why. Artifacts need to work on Buddy. Currently, none of them do, except for the ship based ones, and that's only because they're affecting the ship weapons and not Buddy himself. Currently, the artifacts where if you're standing by another teammate, that one doesn't work. You can't shoot Buddy to heal yourself, or Buddy can't shoot you to heal yourself. Um, there's no mechanical incentive to play by yourself. In fact, it's sort of a detriment to play by yourself because you're losing out on a greater portion of the relics or the artifacts. This would be sort of like a conjunction change: artifact rework and Buddy rework. Buddy needs to be able to use all of the special weapons. Now, in terms of the weapons that need to be activated, the mass ejector engine, when rockets are within 300 meters of the ship, the flares need to be activated automatically. When it comes to the targeting module, every 60 seconds, Buddy will target the nearest enemy. Or actually, I would say every 30 enemy, or every 10 seconds, Buddy will attempt to target the nearest enemy. And if the player already has an active target, Buddy will not change targets or attempt to move to a different target. Only after a target is destroyed will the target damage carry over to a new enemy. The burst shield every time this really should be a passive with um, a slight rework. So burst shield, instead of having a recharge time and an active time and a damage reduction, as you see here, this should have a flat damage reduction of 35%. This will also reduce the shield recharge time, and I know that they're working on shields being reworked, so this should reduce the shield recharge time if it's equipped. And only one of these should be able to be equipped. The plug power shape should be 6 instead of 4. Especially when you get to the max upgrade, and the max upgrade should be the 35%. Moving on here, I can't quite think of any other changes. I really hope this next reactor has something a bit different to it, perhaps something similar to this. We got this is complemented by this guy right here, because it's sort of like a ship going straight down. This also complements this. These are complemented by this. Um, this is complemented by that. So there's different weapon complements with the
How's it going?
way things look in the game. So yeah, we're gonna move on before I start rambling again. Uh, so yeah, Buddy needs to be able to use all the special weapons. Buddy needs to no longer vanish in the middle of a survival mission. Buddy needs to be more accurate with the basic weapons. So back over here again. Um, I basically can't use the catamaran right now because uh, Buddy can't use the Gatling turrets. I upgraded those to max thinking it'd be great. Turns out Buddy's inaccurate as all hell when it comes to these. Anything projectile, Buddy does not know how to handle. It is really sad. Um, Pathetically so. Do I have two ships at the same time? Okay. He's so wildly inaccurate. I can't trust Buddy to use anything other than the rocket launcher, because at least with the rocket launcher,
Absolutely.
I don't have to
Please go
worry
ahead.
about his POS missing everything all the damn time. All right, moving on. The single player topic. The missions need to have better risk reward factors. A single player playing on normal needs to be about as difficult as two people playing on easy, or four-player playing on easy. And the reason being, or yeah, easy sounds like a good one. I almost said trivial here for a minute, but trivial, no one dies. No one can die. You would have to purposefully put yourself in the line of fire and have your team not fire at the enemies that are shooting you. Uh, so with that in mind, the risk and reward
Good to see you.
needs to be
Need to
changed
wake
in a
up?
way that playing single player adds, say, slightly more credits and experience to the mission factor. Um, yeah, I want to be rewarded for riskier gameplay. While I am not truly alone, Buddy is with me. It's not the it's not really the same in terms of difficulty, especially if we're going to have four people getting our asses handed to us when we're playing a normal mission. And I'm planning on doing a recording of this later. So hopefully, the message is heard, at least when it comes to that comment. Risk reward factor needs to be better adjusted. Now, single player mission enemies. So again, earlier enemies, it'd be really cool to have different weak spots and factors to them. Like if I shoot the thruster out of one of the flying enemies, maybe he'll spin to the ground, firing in an arc. He'll lose accuracy. Maybe not like fall to the ground, maybe a little bit lower to the ground, that we can hit with a melee weapon so we don't have to use all of our ammunition on the flying enemies. Shoot him a couple of times, pow pow, right in one of the right or left thrusters of the enemy, The enemy is forced to lose their height advantage, and the player can move in for a melee kill. This would be an awesome mechanic change and implementation. Um, Single player missions need to have less stationary targets for the ship. In fact, I almost never want to see mines or turrets unless unless they are much closer to the primary mission objective, not the secondary objectives, not the rewards, not the loot that we find all over the place. Either that or make the loot and rewards that we find all over the place closer to the primary mission objective. Corvettes need to have slightly less HP to prevent the bullet sponge effect and taking unnecessary amounts of damage to the player ship. It is nearly impossible for a single player to board a Corvette while it is still active, even after it is disabled, unless the entire field has been completely cleared of the enemy presence. Let me say that again. Corvettes need to have slightly less HP to prevent the bullet sponge effect and take unnecessary amounts of damage to the player's ship. It is nearly impossible for a single player to board a Corvette while it is still active and even after it is disabled, unless the entire field, let me say this to the rooftops, unless the entire field is completely cleared of enemy presence. The Corvettes will take out all of our shields and at least half of our HP just by itself, or at least with the presence of itself on the field. I want you guys to think about that, specifically the devs. I want you guys to go into your little dev mode, have 4 people or have one guy in a ship, and I want you to shoot at these guys with all of your weapons. I want you to time what a Mark 1 weapon, what a Mark 2, and what a Mark 3 weapon does for each of these. First, I think this will help you better adjust the damage per second to the regular and elite enemies. And it would help the player get their loot or get what they want to get in a mission. As you saw in my hour plus survival video, in the very beginning, I easily spent over a minute and a half on a single Corvette just shooting it. And this was with like, or maybe not a minute and a half, but maybe closer to a minute of shooting at it with 2, not 1, but 2 disruptor lasers at Mark 3. And it took significant cheesing and waiting to get multiple of the same relic on my relic table to actually do something to these guys. I should not have to rely on cheesing and glitches to take care of these guys. A Corvette should be reasonable, and currently they are not reasonable. So I'm gonna end the video off here. It's close to 40 minutes now. Hopefully by the time the first update or the second update comes around, we can do another one of these videos. I could do some missions, talk about a bit more with you guys. So merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.